Gear Patrol calls their new dive watch the best sub-$500 dive watch. Full stop. Men's Health rated them as the most stylish solar watch in the game. Who are we talking about? It's Movement. They're leveling up your gift giving with the sleekest watches you can buy and the biggest deals of the season. Shop 30 to 50% off Movement's innovative California clean watches, jewelry, and accessories with fast free shipping and returns now at mvmt.com. That's mvmt.com.
Welcome to the Agri-Hood. Carnes Crossroads is a new home community with a farm-to-table lifestyle. Just outside of Charleston, here, community is defined by gathering together and our deep connection to nature. Our future farm and amenities are taking root and blooming into something you've always dreamed of in a fun, healthy, and social environment. Come home to the Agri-Hood, where you can plant roots and thrive.
Learn more at carnescrossroads.com.
There's no going back from that. Like, there's not enough Band-Aids to fix that problem. Like, get him a tall glass of blue milk. It's not going to help. He's
all the force of the world. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So it was genuine.
Welcome to this podcast. This is episode 16. My name is Tim Mitchell, and I'm in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined once again by Jaime Lopez Jr. in Seattle, Washington.
How's it going?
And we're also joined by Jonathan Kuline over there in Mississauga.
Hey, good to be here.
And we have a special guest today. We have Tammy Coron from down in Tennessee.
Live long and infiltrate.
All righty. So she's in charge of weaponry and stuff like that, zombie killing and things like that.
I have a question, a very important question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do about spoilers?
We announced heavily announced spoilers. I was going to ask you one very important question. Have you seen The Last Jedi yet?
Well, here's the thing.
Wait, have you seen Return of the Jedi yet?
Shut up. You hush your face. I stopped watching with the one with when Disney took it over. Like, this is the second one Disney's done, right?
This is the third one Disney's done.
Oh, see, I gave up. And okay, I know what happens. I know what happens. I looked it up because I was like, oh, does blah, 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 blah happen? Oh, I guess it does. So you're not going to spoil it for me.
For you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to suggest anyway was when we do a movie that we've all seen, with the exclusion of Thor, because I never made it there yet. I tried, but and I've been to Jedi twice now, Jedi twice. I can call it Jedi now. Hey, how about that? Now we have two Jedis, but anyway. So what we'll do is we'll do a spoiler-free talk about it, and then I'm going to set a timer for like 10 minutes, and then we'll just talk about, and we'll heavily announce. That's what we did last time for Thor, right? The Thor we did that for, guys? I can't remember.
Might have been Justice League.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, we did a little bit of kind of like
safe
thoughts
stuff
on it. Yeah, spoiler-free thoughts on it that were intended to be a like thumbs up, thumbs down is what it ultimately leads to. And then we had the spoiler-rific section.
Sure.
I'm going to go on record and saying, Thor's so dreamy.
Okay. And we have no Orville and no Discovery to talk about this week, right?
Right. And I think with The Last Jedi...
When did we do the finale yet?
Yep. Mm-hmm. That was last week. Yep.
Oh, I fell asleep in the finale. Sorry.
Are we allowed to talk about old stuff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I'm only here for the old stuff. I don't watch the new stuff.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Seems just better because the Orville is commercially more successful than Firefly.
Really? You're really going to bring up the F word? I'm leaving. I hear my mother calling me.
Fisticuffs. There's going to be fisticuffs. We're going to drive. John and I are going to get in the car and drive to Seattle.
Yeah, John, you better go now because this is not safe. This is a not safe environment right now.
Because that is going to come up in the fact check for the subsequent episode.
I'll give you a fact check. Come here. Let me show you my fact check.
Critically, I didn't say many.
Here's a fact, Jaime. I never watched it.
Yeah, you watched an episode. Come on.
I watched a sort of episode. I got distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah, by my son who was like, "What year was this made in? The year one?"
You gotta just go through, work through that. You just gotta keep going. Because after you're done with Firefly and Serenity, you have to do all of Red Dwarf.
Wait a second.
And then you gotta
No. You're sitting here telling me all the stuff I have to watch, and I think I just heard you say I've not seen Thor yet, so I don't even want to hear it.
Oh, hey, no, it's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
I went and saw The Last Jedi the other day, and then I thought it was like 10 o'clock or whatever, and I could have got tickets for Thor. And then I thought, well, realistically, I'll probably just sleep through the thing. So
I'm leaving.
Yeah. So,
Thanks for letting me crash your show. I'm out of here.
I'll go see it later. All right. So as usual, let's start off with some fact check, Jonathan. What do you got for us?
Well, I got a few things from last week. So we'll start at 4:05 of last episode. Carolyn Ray starred in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the sitcom. She is in fact Canadian. Tim guessed that right. She was born and raised in Westmount, Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
About 7 seconds later, the question was raised: who was the other aunt on Sabrina the Teenage Witch? And that was played by Beth Roderick.
Yeah, it's Hilda and Zelda, right?
Oh, see, now you got another fact check coming. Well, you lost me again. You lost me at Melissa Joan Hart. I told you.
Yeah.
I believe you're correct, Tim. And I looked it up. She does play Hilda, and presumably the other actress plays Zelda.
Right, Beth Roderick. Yeah.
Bless you, Jaime. Bless you. 832, DC Comics Chief Creative Officer Jeff Johns. He's officially listed as a producer on Wonder Woman, not as a writer. I mentioned he was one of the writers. I think he did do some writing, but he's listed as a producer. 1836, the big question: how many actors have played Spider-Man? So here we go. Danny Segrin played him in the Electric Company show in 1974 to 77. Nicholas Hammond played him on The Amazing Spider-Man 1977 to 79. Shinji Todo and Hirofumi Koga played him in Spider-Man, the Japanese show that Jaime mentioned, 1978 to 79. Tobey Maguire, of course, played him for 3 movies from 2002 to 2007. Andrew Garfield, 2012 to 2014. And Tom Holland is, of course, our current Amazing Spider-Man, starting in Captain America Civil War. 1856, Spider-Man, the cartoon TV series, which ran from 1967 to 1970, originally aired on ABC. It was not a Canadian production, as Tim said, but it did air here in syndication. 3855, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson dies at the hands of Loki in Marvel's first Avengers film. I think you had said he died in the second one. And 3905, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just began its 5th season on December 1st, 2017. We were kind of lost on what season they were at, so there you go. Mm-hmm. That is your fact check for this week.
Cool. All right. So let's dive into the news.
All right. Some quick hits. I know we're eager to get into our tall glasses of blue milk and in the Star Wars world, so here we go. So Disney has announced last week it's officially buying Fox Films and TV assets, so they're going to own all their characters back, like the X-Men, Deadpool, Fantastic Four. They're also getting Avatar, they're getting Aliens, Family Guy, The Simpsons, so pretty big deal. $52 billion is apparently the buying price, but this gives Disney a huge monopoly on content going forward and changes the game pretty severely because they also now own 66% of Hulu.
Well, this is an interesting thing. They were talking about this on CBC, I think on I can't remember what it was, early morning show, but there was a critic talking about the fact that Disney's going to be like I think he called it God Corp, which I think is from Howard the Duck, right? That basically they're going to own everything, or like the We Say So company from the Dinosaurs TV show. And he kind of saw it as not, we were all thinking it's going to be great because it's going to have all this interplay between all these different characters and stuff like that, but the Beauty and the Beast versus Spider-Man and that kind of stuff. But
that was the first crossover that came to my mind. I don't know about you guys.
Anyway, but Belle versus Spider-Man is what I was thinking. Anyway, the thing that Disney now owns, like pretty much, they're sort of becoming the Walmart of digital content, if you think about it that way, right? They're going to be able to control how we see and feel about things going forward, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of IP to have in one place. And again, now they have the platform to put it out there because they have controlling interest in Hulu. They can kind of go from there. The other thing that's kind of lost in a lot of people, they all got excited about, we're going to see X-Men versus Avengers, but there's reports from the Wall Street Journal and some of these trade magazines. This could be about 10,000 people losing their jobs from mergers. Yeah. So this is a pretty big deal economically for California and for the film industry, because due to duplications, they're going to have to let a lot of people go, and that's pretty hard.
Right.
So our next item. So we had our story several weeks ago about the Lord of the Rings series going to be developed by Amazon, and Ian McKellen mentioned this week that he'd be interested in coming back and reprising that role of Gandalf. So he said when he was asked about what he would think about seeing someone else wear that outfit and play that part, he said, "Why are you presuming I wouldn't come back?" So that could be kind of cool. We'll know if he's just blowing smoke or if he's actually going to come back, but that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and the character is an older character, so him getting older doesn't really make that much of a difference. Like, it's not like he's aged out of the role necessarily.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the craggier he gets, the more it makes sense. So the other thing I've got here, the director of X-Men First Class and Kick-Ass and Kingsman is in talks with DC about taking over some of their film projects. We talked last week about the shakeup that they're going over. They're trying to do something after Justice League kind of tanked a little bit. They're now talking to Matt Vaughn about coming in and maybe doing a Batman movie or Man of Steel 2 or one of the projects they've got on the go. So that is a pretty interesting development because I've actually enjoyed a lot of his films. So it'll be interesting to see if he dips into that universe after doing a couple of Marvel projects. And let's see what else we got. A couple quick hits. Lego Flash. There's a new Lego Flash trailer. Highly recommend checking that out. Looks like a lot of fun. That's coming out early next year. The first image from Hawk and Dove from the new Titan series came out. I am totally on board. I love those characters. It's going to look great. And unfortunately, the BBC has announced they're canceling Dirk Gently. So 2 seasons out of that. Of course, the Douglas Adams novels turned into this series. And they've decided that 2 seasons is enough. So
yeah, I got confused between Dirk Gently and the one where what's the young lad's name? Frodo. What's his name?
Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I got confused about Elijah Wood versus with that dog that he was in the show and Dirk Gently. Just kind of got mixed up between which show I was watching. But I'm actually just disappointed. I really like Douglas Adams' work, so it'd be really disappointed just to see that they're canceling it after 2 seasons, right? So well.
Tim, are you talking about Wilfred? Is that the TV?
Yeah, Wilfred. Yes, thank you. Yeah, have you watched that?
I watched maybe half the first season of Wilfred, and I've never heard of Dirk Gently. I'm like way out of the loop on that one.
Oh, really?
How can you mistake? I just want to know how you can mistake Wilfred for Dirk Gently.
I'm kidding, Tammy.
Oh, okay. You had me worried there for a second.
Yeah,
Dirk Gently's holistic detective agency is something that Douglas Adams came up with. I want to say after the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, but I think he did 4 Hitchhiker's Guides, and then he did this one, and then he went back and did a 5th Hitchhiker's Guide. So Hitchhiker's Guide is a trilogy in 5 parts, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but isn't Dirk Gently the series based on a comic book?
No,
it's based on novels.
Yeah, and they're good novels too. You should go and read them. And a lot of the expressions that we use every day, like the one, my favorite expression by Douglas Adams is "We're surrounded by technology, but when all we want is things that work," is actually a quote from Dirk Gently. There you go.
Learned something new.
Learned something today. You did. You certainly did. Yes. So I had some quick hits here too. I posted up a thing for the fans to listen to. Is Bohemian Rhapsody, the Star Wars edition. And now that I've said that, I can't remember what it's basically sung to the tune of Bohemian Rhapsody, done in all the same sort of parts as the Bohemian Rhapsody song by Queen, obviously, but done with a sort of Star Wars flair to it. Kind of interesting thing. I was inspired by something actually Tammy posted to one of our Slacks, I think our MTJC Slack, on another video that was like a sort of music video done based on Star Wars.
Oh, that was the Yoda one, right?
Right. Another interesting one I watched here was 10 pointless Star Wars movie changes that you'd never even notice. And this is an interesting one. I don't know if I didn't pick out any highlights from this. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch this, but I highly recommend it. It's like, when they added in, Jabba the Hutt or Greedo shooting first, those kind of changes. There are some changes that they made even in some of the Blu-ray releases recently that you just sort of shake your head and think why. And it's a great little 10, 15 minute little video that goes through all the sort of changes and it's hilarious actually, right? So, and then for Jaime, who hasn't seen Doctor Who yet, Tammy, believe it or not, I posted a link from the BBC their Twitter account talking about this is the BBC Doctor Who Twitter account, and basically they list off all the different regeneration episodes. So if you want to catch up on, or if you've never seen any regenerations before, you want to see what's going on, how one Doctor Who changes into another Doctor Who, other different actor, that kind of thing, how he regenerates. And that's what I believe the Christmas special is going to center around Peter Capaldi's regeneration as Doctor Who, as the 12th, 13th Doctor, Tammy?
No, he's the the 10th was David Tennant, the 11th, 13th.
Yeah, so 13th, yeah.
So 13th is coming. He's the 12th.
13th is coming, yes, and that's Jodie Whittaker, of course, right? So we'll have to look forward to that. And but technically, they keep sort of blurring the line between the thing, because the War Doctor was now I've forgotten his name.
Well, yeah, I mean, are we counting him in that count off? Because he doesn't really have a number.
No, true. And the guy who played Finch in Harry Potter series is also playing the Doctor in the Christmas special as well. He's playing as if he was the first Doctor, who of course is long since passed, the actor there. And this is some more fact check for Jonathan for next week. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to watch that. That's on Christmas Day at 9 p.m. I believe in Canada. I believe 9 p.m. in UK as well. So
it's probably one of the only series that I'm literally counting down the hours to. I absolutely, really? Yeah. I mean, I love Doctor Who.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's funny. I used to watch it when I was a teenager, and it was really hokey, back then, but fun, sort of thing, right? And just so we were talking last week about, I was talking about the night shift at the Enterprise level there, and just so happened I was sitting watching TV the other day, and the Lower Decks episode came on, which is sort of it's a story about sort of the junior Star Trek officers, the guys who were like ensigns and stuff like that. They've got one pip on their collar, and kind of interesting episode there. Sort of fills in that gap of who these people are. It centers around a couple of four people. One's an officer, one's a security officer, one's actually a nurse who's ended up getting more roles out of that, and it even ties into that Enterprise or that incident at the Starfleet Academy, right? Because one of the characters was apparently involved in that cover up that we talked about. And then of course one of my favorite directors, Ridley Scott, was on Q Radio CBC the other day being interviewed by Tom Power, and it's a great little interview. He talks all about reshooting which we talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago, I think, Kevin Spacey being replaced by Christopher Plummer in All the Money in the World, where he plays John Paul Getty. So interesting talk with Ridley Scott about how he makes movies and how he sort of came out of British advertising and worked his way into movies. And obviously we can sort of list off some of the probably movies we'll talk about on the show many times. Thelma and Louise, Alien, Gladiator, Blade Runner, of course. What else has he done? Tons of stuff, right? And
Prometheus.
He was involved in Prometheus is true, yeah. And he was also involved in the latest version as well. So
can we talk about Prometheus for a second?
Sure. No, we have fixed rules.
No, these are the rules. We cannot talk about it now. So I keep.
You didn't tell her rule number 1 is no talking about Prometheus.
I keep seeing all these ads and articles about Prometheus and Aliens Covenant. Now, I'm a huge Alien and Aliens fan, but I have yet to see Covenant. And I don't know if I'm doing any spoilers or anything, but every article I read, it always mentions Prometheus and Covenant in the same sentence or paragraph. Right. Is there a correlation? Should I prepare myself for something if I go to watch Covenant?
First of all, Jonathan talked about Covenant probably in our second or third episode. Just basically, you're not missing anything by not seeing it, right?
Yep, that's pretty much it. I said if you've seen Alien, you're good.
Okay. Any of the 5 movies preceding, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's as far as a Ridley Scott picture goes, it does not knock one's socks right off their feet, but it is pretty it is a sequel of sorts to Prometheus. There is carryover from that story.
Is Numi, what's her name, Rapace, is she in there?
No,
okay.
But David is.
Yeah, android, yeah.
So they're that closely tied.
Yes.
Interesting. I never occurred to me. And then like I said, I've been reading all these articles. I'm like, really? Huh, all right.
Yeah, I'll have to watch. Is it on Netflix yet, or
it's not on Netflix? And I will clarify with a tiny spoiler. Some of the other actors from the first movie from Prometheus are in there as well. I'm not gonna go too far down the rabbit hole, but yes.
Right. Okay. I thought they all got wiped out, but anyway, there you go.
Now I know.
All right. So I just have a quick little zinger here that I was thinking about this during we were talking last week about Bright, and I just watched the trailer for Bright, and I'm still convinced that I saw this when it was called Alien Nation back in the day. Yeah. And if you're not familiar with Alien Nation, you probably passed by it in the remainders bin for eons. In fact, it even became a TV show, which I unfortunately watched back in the day as well.
That was a good movie, though. That was a really good movie. James Caan and Mandy Patinkin, and that was a great movie.
Right. Was that Mandy Patinkin?
That was Mandy Patinkin as the alien, as George Francisco.
Yeah. Huh. I just remember the TV show more than the movie. I remember the movie was good, but the TV show kind of just made it, sort of painted it with white coated it, as it were, right? Made it really sort of blasted. But it was still a good show, still a good cop show, and kind of twisty because it had the sci-fi element in it, right?
Yep.
Alrighty. So here we are. I don't think we can get out of this podcast today without talking about the Last Jedi. Now that most of us have seen it. Tammy, have you seen it yet?
No, No, but I'm one of the ones who will wait for it to come on iTunes or Netflix or something.
Right. Okay. So,
I have to be honest with you. I'm not big into Star Wars since Disney took over.
Is this a hate for Disney situation or?
No, I like Disney. I mean, yay for killing all the moms in Disney. But I mean,
there are moms in Disney?
No, not a single one, except unless they were evil.
Yeah.
But I tried to watch. This is how bad it is. I don't even remember the name. But the very first one that Disney took over, which was that?
The Force Awakens?
Yes, I tried to watch that like a handful of times, and every time within like 20 minutes, I was.
Really?
It was horrible for me, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
So when this new one came out, I was like, and I read everything on Twitter. I'm like, but I've got opinions, even though I didn't see it. I do have opinions on the spoilery thingy.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to do as we did for Justice League, sort of spoiler-free sort of discussion of being like amongst, because all three of us, Tammy, went on the first night and saw the very first showing of it, and
of course.
I've been back. I went back by myself the other day. I had a few hours to kill and nothing to do, and I figured, what the hell? Let's go see Star Wars. And I saw it in 3D. So let's do that. Let's talk about our experiences of going on the first night. I mean, the coolest thing about going on first night, if you ever wondered what it's like, is there are people who dress up as characters, which is kind of fun. It's lovely being bumped into with somebody who's got a lightsaber and that kind of stuff. But people cheer when the movie starts, and they cheer at certain moments. They kind of all sort of laugh at the sort of in jokes, as it were. And people clapped at the end. When Jonathan and I saw the first showing, people clapped at the end. I don't know if they do that in Seattle for you, Jaime, but yeah. And there's one point in the middle of the movie, which I'm going to say for the spoiler part, but where people actually cheered. They were like, oh yeah, that's exactly what they wanted to see happen. And we'll save that for the spoiler part. But anyway, so it was. I think as far as Star Wars movies go, for me, the acid test is if I could sit and watch that movie anytime, anywhere, anyhow, to me, it's a good Star Wars movie. So like A New Hope, they've been showing on Showcase here in Toronto, they've been showing, various Star Wars, sort of marathons, if you will. And I think Saturday they're going to show The Phantom Menace. But so I must have watched, and they do it like in a sort of recurring loop. So they would play like, 3 movies and then they would repeat them again. So I must have watched A New Hope, over like a 12-hour period. And it's just, I don't sit there and watch that movie anytime it's on without even blinking. And so I was looking through, I was looking at my Apple TV and I was checking out Prime Video. I watched the first episode of Man from High Castle, as I promised. And then I just went back to my iTunes and noticed that I had Force Awakens. And I didn't realize that I hadn't actually watched the extra special iTunes exclusive, behind the scenes stuff that they had there. So I watched a bit of that. And then I just put the movie on and watched it. And again, it was something that for me was really easy to watch. And there are some things in Force Awakens that the Force Awakens that I have trouble with, right? But I'm really having a hard time finding trouble with The Last Jedi. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys think?
I think The Force Awakens, I think the criticism against it, to take Tammy's side a bit, is that it's not a challenging film.
Right.
It's a pretty digestible, easy to consume, hits everywhere you expect it to hit kind of film. Whereas I think a lot of the blowback that has happened so far on Last Jedi is the fact that it is a very challenging film. It does mess with your expectations. It does mess with your understanding of this universe, with the rules. And I think that's sort of where we are with these 2 different projects. And you could make that argument that that has a lot to do with who directed these pictures. J.J. Abrams his films are excellent and they are extremely well done, but they're not what you'd call cerebral. Whereas Rian Johnson, I mean, from his work on Looper to his work on Breaking Bad to his first film Brick, is a director who likes to challenge and push and try and innovate. And for me, that made for a very good experience. But I understand from reading the internets that not everybody agrees with that sentiment.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a good point. And for those of you who are trying to wonder what we're talking about is some people are saying that the Last Jedi should be declared not canon because of some of the changes they made in the sort of storyline, as it were, right? What do you think, Jaime, of your first sort of? I assume you've only seen it once.
I actually saw it twice, not on accident, but because of the way that the tickets were distributed back in September, October, whenever that Monday Night Football game was. I had multiple devices pointing at multiple different theaters and just sitting in the queue. And the first one that came up was a 20-minute queue that had me seeing it on Friday early in the morning. I said, that's great, but I don't want to have to avoid the interwebs for that long of a period of a time. So I'm going to stick in this 45-minute queue and wait for Thursday night. And I was able to get that ticket as well. So I ended up seeing it sort of not back to back, but certainly twice within the same. Oh, you saw it in the
early afternoon, I believe, on Friday, right?
Yeah, it was like 9-ish in the morning on Friday and 7 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah, I was looking at tickets the other day. There's a showing at 2:00 in the morning on the big screen, and when I was looking at tickets on Saturday, there was like not a seat had been sold yet. I was just thinking to myself, it'd be funny if I could stay awake, for that long a time. It'd be great to sit right in the middle, in the Sheldon spot, But
yeah, and so having seen it twice, I feel like my thoughts on it are still the same. The way I experienced the movie was slightly different the second time. I think we can talk about that a little bit more easily during the spoilerific part of the show.
Sure, yeah.
Non-spoiler wise, I like the movie. So let me just start up with that one. I like the movie. I'm not surprised at all that on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score is 92% fresh, and the audience score is 54% as a
really 54. Wow.
Yeah. So it's like for like the audience side, it's sort of let's call it 50-50 because that's within the margin of error. You would get like Gallup poll, right? Like either you either like it or you don't. I think I happen to be on the side that likes it, although I do think it's a movie that is a bit messy and needs some edits. Like I'm not going to say to restructure the whole thing because like that's hard, but I feel like an edit pass through this would probably help make it a much better movie, and I think people would enjoy it more.
It's funny. I went back and watched I watched the special features on Force Awakens, and I went back and watched the deleted scenes. I think I had seen those before, but I am sure glad they deleted some of those scenes in the Force Awakens because they would have thrown the whole storyline off. And by taking them out, they judiciously edited the story that's as it kind of flowed. If they had done some of those things that kind of revealed plot points that were coming up later on, and I hope that's the case with the Last Jedi as well. A question though about the kind of projection you saw, because I went on the first night with Jonathan and we sat at the side, which was kind of weird. Like the scroller on an angle was really weird in 3D. I found that to be hilarious, in fact. But on IMAX, we were sitting, I guess, in the middle of the theater, and super big screen, super bright projection. So it was like, you really were immersed in the sort of movie. Then when I went on Saturday night, I went to what is the first digital projection theater in Canada, which is at the Scotiabank Theater. And I remember I saw Bicentennial Man there, which was the first showing of a digital movie, without any imperfections in the film. But in 3D. But so like a regular, whatever 70 millimeter, whatever it is. I don't think it's 70 millimeter either, but definitely different aspect ratio, more letterboxy than you'd get on an IMAX. I think IMAX is 4:3 almost, right? But really, really dark. I kept lifting, having seen, I felt sorry for the people who were just seeing it for the first time because it was so dark, right? I kept having to lift my 3D glasses off to actually see, the lines in Snoke's face and things like that, right? I don't know. So in your projections, what did you see? You saw the regular version of it first, and then what did you see on Friday?
Both were regular versions, kind of quite intentionally for some of the issues you were just talking about.
So have you seen a 3D projection of it?
I have not seen a 3D projected version of this, although I might, when I go visit family in Texas for the holidays, I think I'll probably end up seeing it at least once in 3D.
Sure. So what do you think?
I'll be able to compare that way. In terms of, because I saw it
Jonathan
at center of the theater, so I was actually look up at the projector, see where it is, see where the beam is coming from, and then align myself perfectly with that. So I was very happy with where I was in the theater.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Again, you sort of I should have remembered from years previous that the the night that they put those on sale, the app version of the Cineplex app here in Canada is notably unreliable. And so, as I did last year, I gave up and went to the desktop version and immediately got tickets, but then they were slightly askew for that first IMAX viewing. So,
but not horrible though, right?
It wasn't bad. We were, just a little bit forward of where we would like to been, and probably about 15 feet over from where we probably would have liked to have been. It wasn't too bad. But I thought it was nice and bright and crisp. I mean, there was a lot of space stuff in this flick, which tends to be a little dark, but I never really felt like it was drowned out. I never felt like there was anything that I was kind of lost in. Some of the scenes with Luke and Rey, where they're together, where it's rainy and it's dark, were a little muddled sometimes. But I assume that's one of those things that will probably get better upon a second, third viewing when you because your eyes are sort of fishing around in the dark trying to find all the details, but overall pretty good.
Yeah, one thing I just find about 3D, I've noticed that they need to show more trailers before, because I think it takes a while for your brain to get used to the type of distortion that 3D adds to looking at things, right? Like, it's not the same as your vision. Like, I even noticed when in the Jurassic Park trailer that there was a point there where he's got his hand outstretched in terms of aspect ratio or depth of field. He's in focus, his body's in focus, but his hand's not. So when my eye trained over to his hand, it was out of focus, and it just seemed really unnatural to me that, like, I would think that if I were looking at something in 3D, it would be crisp in 3D all the time, no matter where I looked, right? And I think that's what I mean by it takes a while for your brain to sort of get trained to looking at a 3D image, and because it's not really like we see our perception every day kind of thing. That the focal length of the camera is different than the focal length of your eyeball and all that kind of stuff, right? So anyway, so do we move to the spoiler version now?
Well, why not? Let's get into it. I know Tammy's
sounds pretty good.
Here.
Spoilers.
Yeah, but how spoiler are we allowed to get?
Well, if we give the proper spoiler warning to those of you who are transporting along and on listening to this fine podcast, if you've not seen the movie, or if you would be hurt very badly by the spoilers, you should probably pause, go watch the movie, and then come back.
Yeah, so I'm going to set a timer here for 20 minutes, and then we're going to come back. And so if you want to pause for 20 minutes, now's the time to do that. Or I'm sorry, not pause, but go ahead, zip ahead. 20 minutes. Okay, timer started.
There you go.
All right, hit me.
Well, are we going to do a recap, or are we going to dive in?
Well, one question I have, first of all, how does Rey get back on the Falcon after she has her duel with Snoke and Kylo Ren?
The Force, duh. I'm kidding. I haven't seen the movie.
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that. Let's not drop that spoiler about that. How do you get back on the ship with the Force? But anyway, I just did it. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I think it's very. So Tammy asked how spoilery we can get. I think as spoilery as we want.
Okay.
For this part of the show.
I just love that I made up a new word.
Spoilery, okay.
And you all went with it.
So the part that people cheered at was there's a point there in the movie where they keep Kylo Ren and Rey. We should watch this movie, Tammy. It really is good from this point of view. But Kylo Ren and Rey have this sort of relationship they establish through long distance. She's on one planet on one side of the galaxy, and he's on the other side of the galaxy, and they're actually able to see each other and communicate throughout the movie. And at one point, it's kind of funny because she's sort of walking along, and it's in the middle of the night. She's trying to deal with Luke and how stupid he is being and all that kind of stuff. And she's walking along, and all of a sudden, the bells go off, or whatever the audio signal was that she knows. Okay, now this guy's calling me on Skype, and she just sort of says, "Do we have to do this now?" Anyway, so but there's sort of a build up to the point where Kylo keeps saying to her, "Join me, join me, join me," and they get into this big kerfuffle in the middle of the movie, and all of a sudden they do join each other, and they do start to fighting everybody else in the room together as a unit, right? And the entire audience went bananas in the 3D viewing, they just started cheering as soon as she picked the sword and turned her back to his, and they did that typical, I don't know if it's what do you call that when the
back to back,
back to back fighting against everybody in the room and kind of thing, right? But they cheered when she caught the lightsaber, as it was coming straight towards the screen. That was a really cool scene in 3D Hame when the lightsaber is coming towards them, horizontally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of exciting. That was kind of a neat thing. But I just found that I don't know what you guys think about that whole sort of build up in the first part of the movie. Of course, I realize Jonathan's on the call here, and he probably saw this hours before I did. But but the whole sort of the fact that they would join each other and fight and together, what did you guys think about that sort of moment in the film? Anyone?
I mean, I liked it. Jonathan, I don't know if you wanted to weigh in. conclusion.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because, they both, through that link they were sharing in their minds, they both had a vision of what the other was going to do when confronted with a choice. So would Rey turn to the dark side? Would Kylo turn to the light side? How was this going to reconcile itself? And they were both convinced they were right. And so they get to this scenario where they, they're in that moment, and it's going to come down to a choice. One of them's going to have to do something. And, I can't say that I predicted exactly what was going to happen. I knew it was going to obviously take a twist there. There was obviously foreshadowing a twist. But it was an interesting moment, and it was a really shocking one. I mean, I was surprised that they took it to that level. There was a moment there, again, I don't know how far we're going to get into the spoilers here, but
we could call it the Kevin Spacey moment if you want to call it. Like, remember, was American? What's that?
American Beauty?
No, not American Beauty. The other one, the L.A. Confidential.
L.A. Confidential. Yes. No, absolutely.
In the middle of exactly. Let's call that a Kevin Spacey moment.
There's a Kevin Spacey moment. Absolutely. So the Kevin Spacey moment comes along, and you're just, you find yourself thinking like, did that really happen? Like, did I just see what I think I saw? And you're rationalizing it in your mind for a second because you're thinking, no, they wouldn't do that to that kind of character at this stage of the film.
Right.
And then the body falls in half.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right. So
that's the Darth Maul moment.
There's no going back from that. Like, there's not enough Band-Aids to fix that problem. Like, get him a tall glass of blue milk. It's not going to help. He's
all the force of the world. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So it was a genuine, as there was a bunch of different moments in this movie where, it's messing with your expectations. I think we all went in with a mindset of, hey, The Force Awakens was such an ape of what happened in The New Hope. I really think a lot of us went in with at least a little bit of hey, I wonder if they're going to follow the Empire Strikes Back model.
Well, they kind of did, though.
And there were a lot of beats that followed that. Yeah. There's the sort of training, mentor versus student kind of relationship. I was
thinking more about Hoth and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that comes later on, but they really, to build up to this scene, they really sort of start off with, they establish the young character goes to visit the old character, looking for advice and training, trying to figure out their place in the universe. They've got, the bad guys, got the good guys on the run in space. That's very much like the Millennium Falcon being chased by the Star Destroyers and to the asteroid field. So we've kind of got this stage set where you find your mind going to those expectations of, okay, so it's following some familiar beats. I know this universe. I'm comfortable. And then Rian Johnson just starts slapping your expectations around by just throwing you these curveball after curveball after curveball through the middle of the picture by, changing what your expectations are based on having seen the previous trilogy of, these films that everyone's so familiar with, and throwing you these excellent curveballs. And that one was a particularly effective one. I know a lot of people online are very upset because they didn't want to see Kevin Spacey, chopped in half at that point.
Yeah, because he's such a good character to have in the genre, right?
Well, I think there was a lot of people, I was thinking about why, and a lot of people who I have a lot of respect for, people who are professional writers and people who have just really good opinions, have been posting. I've been reading a lot of stuff about this, and I'm trying to think about what their problem is.
Really?
And I think I've got it figured out. It's that people like to be right. People wanted to be right about, who this person was, where they fit into this universe, who, there's a big reveal at one point about Rey's family. They wanted to be the ones who guessed right. And because it's not wrapped up in the bow or to the expectations that George Lucas built during the original trilogy or in the prequel trilogy or that were set forth in the last film, they did plant a lot of seeds in that first picture that you think are going to come to a very ripe fruition. And in this one, they kind of just threw them at the airlock.
They're into it. Yeah. Well, I mean, like one of my biggest problems with the first three movies is Darth Vader being on a leash of the Emperor, right? I mean, because to me, I found him very in when the Emperor comes into the picture, especially in the Return of the Jedi, when he brings Luke back to the Emperor to be beaten by the Emperor, or whatever the Emperor's going to do with him, Harvey Weinstein him or something, I don't know. But or Kevin Spacey him, I guess. But I found that really weakened Darth Vader, in my opinion. Darth Vader was such a kick-ass bad guy, right? But so now I kind of sort of see Kylo Ren character, the Kylo Ren persona, being rising into that new position, and this gives him that opportunity to be the big boss, right? However early he is in his own personal development. I mean, like he's if I was an HR person, I wouldn't sort of see him being in the secession model so early in his career. But I think that's what kind of opened it up for him, and that's what he sees when he asks Rey to join him again. That it could be the two of them. It could be Luke and Leia ruling the galaxy, kind of thing, right? That was that sort of Sam and Diane kind of moment as well, right? And that may be what they'll play out in the third movie.
Yeah, it could. It was an interesting thing to sort of build this relationship. I thought that part of the film was very, very effective. They build this relationship between what we now see as the good character versus the evil character, and it starts to become pretty complex. They actually start to try and understand each other, and they start to bring that together, and it really does lead to some interesting dynamics later on, although it does become pretty polarizing post Kevin Spacey. So it's it'll be interesting to see, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people are also a little ticked off online is, this movie kind of takes all the threads that were sort of woven through Force Awakens and ties them up in a pretty neat bow. It'll be interesting to see where they kind of go from here.
So we got a couple of minutes left here of the spoiler part. I just want to sort of, maybe Jaime can jump in here, but so Poe Dameron, I found him, maybe it's my advanced age, I don't know, but I found him kind of annoying, and maybe I do, generally speaking, find him kind of annoying. But what do you think about, like, was he being a pain in the butt in the command ship, and when he was being dressed down by I forgot the name of the character, General Holdo, right?
Vice Admiral. I think it was Vice Admiral. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, Jaime, what do you think about that?
Yeah, but I think let me ask you: did you like him in The Force Awakens?
I kind of did, and I kind of didn't. I liked him better in the book than I did in the actual portrayal. Maybe it's the actor, I don't know.
Okay. But it sounds like you didn't find him an annoying person or a character in The Force Awakens, but you do in The Last Jedi.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he was playing a stereotypical flyboy or not, but I didn't have, admittedly he has this sort of natural touch with an X-wing, but I found, he was kind of a pain in the butt. I mean, it was sort of like, the middle manager going after the upper management, trying to figure out, and then of course the upper management had their agenda that they weren't going to let him into, right? Because he's the kind of guy that would spill the beans, if you will, right?
Yeah, or potentially cause a mutiny, which he actually ends up doing.
Yeah,
but that wouldn't be your normal expectation, right? And I think his character, it seemed in line with his character that he's the flyboy kind of person, and the whole theme of the movie was failure, right? Everybody fails at everything in this particular film. Yep. And extra spoilers, even Luke gets a real explicit lesson from
that little guy,
from a character about that. And I think it made sense to me. Like, it made a lot of sense to me in that it took the normal tropes that you would have for movies in general, sci-fi movies in particular, and especially for Star Wars, where this small group of folks came up with this crazy idea, things go bad, but oh look, they pulled it out at the end. In this case, they don't, right? Like, his whole plan utterly fails. The people he sends off, Finn and Rose, like, they completely fail at their job. They tried really hard, but they fail hard, and it costs the resistance tons of lives, which echoes what happened earlier, where he ostensibly had success in destroying the what did they call it? The destroyer,
Star Killer. The thing at the beginning, the
Dreadnought or something.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So they destroyed that thing, but it's like, well, was it really worth it? It was a Pyrrhic victory. We lost so many of our good people on our ships and stuff. Right? Like,
but we get that Lando Calrissian character out of it too, like in
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Playing a man who's had one too many Heinekens, and a character who has a very different perspective that we don't normally see. Right? He's ostensibly a Lando or a Lando Calrissian or a Han Solo, but he's not. He doesn't have the twist of, oh look, I had a good heart at the end. It's like, no, I'm just a dude, and I don't believe it's good or bad. I think you just live your life and you move on.
There were a lot of object lessons in here, like for instance, when the first issue of fighting taking out the dreadnought. Okay, we took out the dreadnought, but look what it cost us. It cost us 3/4 of the flyers out there, right? Died. The bombers all died. Rose's sister died in that first section, right? And the other object lesson was this one about the fact that these guys who make all this money are making money by selling weapons to the good and the bad guys, right? So, like, where do you draw the line there? We're kind of out of our spoiler area, so we should wrap this up.
I think the whole thing. I think Jaime nailed it. I think this is Star Trek gray. They show you the light side, they show you the dark side, and they show you the gray side. And this movie has some interesting messages about arrogance and hubris and failure and hope within those things. It still has a Star Wars-y message message to it, but this really was a view of this universe that has been so, in the previous 7 to 8 pictures, I guess we'll include Rogue One in this, very much about light versus dark, about good versus evil. This is the first time where we really started wading into the mire of the gray area, because Luke's got some valid points in this film. And I know that people are very up in arms about his portrayal in this film because it's not up to, the standard they expected him to have lived his life by based on where we left him at Return of the Jedi. But, he's got some valid points to put out there. And as, people also got on the back of that whole scene on the Monte Carlo planet, right? Where they go to Monte Carlo for the not horse races. It's, that whole world, that whole sort of avarice and the, it's all so gray. It's so murky. And there's so much explored there in this universe. And maybe we're getting a taste of where Rian Johnson's going to take his future trilogy, because... So
what are people saying? I haven't seen anything about that sort of money planet. What were they saying about that?
I think a lot of people were just, they felt like as a digression, it just was, it wasn't necessary. And, some of the morals in there, again, just, it, felt a little heavy-handed at times. And,
well, the little kid at the end is the New Hope, obviously, right?
I guess. I mean, they do leave you on a very positive place for the future. It's funny,
just on the, positive hope for the future kind of thing. But the scene where he walks out and he just force grabs the broom, totally missed that in the dark 3D version that I saw on Saturday night. Right?
Like I don't understand. Could you not see the broom? Like, how did you?
No, I mean, it was so dark you couldn't see that was there. Like you saw him. It's almost like he picked up the broom, but you couldn't see that there was like 6 or 8 inches between him, the wall, and where the broom was resting in his hand, right? And he just,
interesting.
So it was like, that's what I mean about the dark projection. I found that there was it was really hard to see a lot of the stuff, and and I was sitting in what I normally would consider a good seat to sit in. I don't know, maybe it was the projector was too dim or something, I would have asked for my money back if I hadn't seen it before already, right? If I didn't, and I kind of mentioned to the people sitting next to me after the movie was over, it was way better in IMAX, and the other dude that was saying he saw it in the regular projection and he thought it was really dark in this 3D version, right? And I guess that's the thing about what they call real 3D, right? The one where you're wearing sunglasses in a darkened theater. Give your head a shake, right? What do you expect, right?
Yeah.
There's one other thing I want to say about the whole movie in general. I can't remember what it is now.
Well, Tim, you asked about Canto Bight, the Monte Carlo planet there. I feel like that whole subplot is one of the areas that I would have edited. Because I don't want to take time away from Finn and Rose, because I think there's some stuff they're setting up there with them. And I honestly would have liked to see more out of the Rose character, especially given she's like a mechanic engineer type. I would have loved to see her, MacGyver her way out of something, given that's probably what her skill would be. But I would have trimmed that part of the movie. And if you're going to keep the running time the same, you end up expanding other areas, potentially even that same area of interaction with Finn and Rose. But I didn't really like the execution they had for them in particular.
Did you find it a long movie? Like, did you think this is way too long? Like, I kind of felt that way in Blade Runner a couple of times, right? 2049, but not so much in this one.
So I found that section kind of long when I first watched the movie. And then the second watch, I said, oh, it actually wasn't really that long.
Yeah, it kind of whipped by, yeah.
So I think it was just the pacing that struck me the first time I saw it.
Yeah, so just want to ask you one last question. You don't have to say anything about it, but and the question is, did you see what was in the drawer when Finn goes to get the blanket at the end of the movie?
Oh yeah, and I thought for sure somebody else would bring this up, but
yeah, let's leave that in the spoiler bin.
I mean, we can leave it as a Jedi, much like Vulcans, lie directly or by omission all the time. You're like, oh my god, like, but such and such. It's like, well, think about it, right? Because if this was, 1980, and if social media existed, I guarantee you, we'd be like, oh my god, this is so non-canon. There's zero chance that Darth Vader is actually Luke's father.
Right.
Luke was told explicitly that these were two different people.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder if they. So I'm awfully suspicious of the writing of A New Hope, because there's so many things in A New Hope that don't fit into the rest of the movies, and that one particular one that when Obi-Wan tells Luke that Darth Vader killed his father, right, and that his father was this Poe Dameron kind of guy, right? That's kind of what I got out of it, right? So
from a certain point of view, as he says in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I was lying to you, bro.
Yeah. So, last thoughts?
It is is exactly 2 years from tonight that episode 9 is set to premiere.
Right.
So start your clocks, start the countdown.
Yeah.
It is a scant 2 years from tonight. We will be watching, theoretically, the last part of this
trilogy.
Non-trilogy? I don't know. Where are we at now?
I don't know. I don't know. What does 9 work out into trilogies?
Like nonology, I guess.
Non-nonology? Yeah, there you go.
So I just saw an interview with Mark Hamill, and he was talking about how the first movie was Harrison Ford's movie, and this movie was supposed to be Luke's movie, right? And 9 was supposed to be Carrie Fisher's movie. So what do you think they're going to do? And so I don't know if you also heard too. Apparently, they did use some CGI in Carrie Fisher's place. I don't know if you guys caught that at all, or if you even spotted it.
I mean, are we getting back to spoiler zone? I mean, there's.
Yeah, you think what you have to say is a spoiler? We'll just put that out there.
Yeah, so spoilers again. So skip ahead another minute or two, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
The Leia Poppins scene, definitely CGI.
That's perfect.
That's one you didn't need Carrie Fisher around for. That's for sure.
Right.
It didn't bother me as much as it has other people on the net, but I also think it wasn't executed as well as it could have been.
Yeah. So if they weren't planning on doing the the Carrie Poppins thing, why would they bother doing that? I mean, we've always sort of known that Leia has a hint of the Force in her, right?
Yeah. See, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people are like, oh my God, she has the Force out of nowhere. I'm like, no.
Force in like the first 3 movies.
Well, she says at the end of Return of the Jedi, she says, I know Luke's not dead. I can feel it.
Yeah.
She has the Force.
And when Harrison Ford dies wait a minute. Yeah, so it's okay.
If you're listening to this episode, talk about the sequel to The Force Awakens.
I watched too many Star Wars.
Spoilers are okay for The Force Awakens.
The blurred lines, right? When Han Solo dies, she sits and she goes, she sits down as if she's just been punched in the gut, right? And that's from miles away too, right? Or light years away, right? So yeah, she's. I think, and that's what. And Yoda says at the end at the end of Return of the Jedi that there is another, and he's talking about Leia, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Force is strong in their family, and as far back as Empire Strikes Back, you can make the argument that she has the Force because she's able to hear Luke when he's calling out to her when they're leaving the Falcon and they go back for him.
Right. Yeah.
So that part doesn't bother me, and I'm not sure how they're going to deal with it because they did the head fake of she has died during the first attack, and it's like, oh, okay, there you go. That's how they wrote out Carrie Fisher, and that's not at all where her character goes. So very curious how they'll handle it in episode 9.
I do think that this, there's a few people online that have made the case for, maybe the next one is a time jump ahead a little bit. And I think that there's a good case for that. That way you can write out Carrie in a dignified way. You can, push past some of the very raw wounds of where we leave off in this picture and into a new adventure that sort of continues from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are talking about time skips that seem way longer than I think is necessary. They're talking about 5 to 10 years. I'm like, no, Return of the Jedi is like 6 months to a year later after Empire Strikes Back. So you can have it be 6 months have passed and not only are we in this terrible tattered situation, but our princess, our general has died.
Of natural causes.
Yeah, that's reasonable. She's an older woman, right? Like totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our second 10-minute warning. So welcome to the end of the 20-minute spoiler-free spoiler area.
You guys are so lucky. I've been keeping my mouth shut. That's all I gotta
You're doing the
say.
timing there, Tammy.
So have we? Well, I reset it again because I kind of did warn you. But anyway, just on the light and dark thing, just one last point here is that I'm
And by 20 minutes, I actually mean 25.
It takes a lot of well, actually, Tammy, don't forget when I edit this out, it comes a lot shorter, right? That's why I said I gave them 12 minutes to begin with. Yeah, so you're right, it's 25 minutes. But anyway, Rey has a lot of dark energy in her when she's fighting. Like when she's got the lightsaber in her hand, and I'm not spoiling anything. This is in Force Awakens. Go back and watch it if you don't believe me. She gets really into it and because there's a moment there where Kylo's got her pinned and she kind of closes her eyes, takes a breath on her own. I mean, she's sort of self-trained Jedi, if you want to look at it that way, right?
The lightsaber is just an extension of the throat punch.
Well, exactly, and you should know, right? So she actually just again, Tammy, you haven't watched all of Force Awakens?
No.
Oh, you need to go back and watch this. You need to go back and watch this girl.
But I agree with you 100%. I mean, like right in the beginning, she was fighting with her. I don't even know what she was fighting with. I don't think it was a saber. Yeah, she had a stick. Yeah. And yeah, she's angry, and I love her, and she's a strong character. But I don't know what it is. Like,
she doesn't have a mom.
It's Disney, of course. She doesn't have a mom. I don't know what it is about the new Star Wars, even like the Phantom Menace and 1, 2, and 3. I just could not get into them. I'm a child of the 70s and the 80s, 90s, and you cannot touch those original Star Warses.
Apparently, you can several times.
Yeah, no. Special edition, special edition, special edition,
and even
hush.
They keep changing. Like I just said to you in my picks, I'll go watch this 10 things that 10 most pointless Star Wars changes you never even noticed are in this movie. Yeah. So, and I'm not talking about Hayden Christensen.
Nitpicky.
Yeah. Like
I'm talking big picture.
Tammy, George Lucas took the eyebrows off of Darth Vader when he takes off the helmet because he was burned in.
Get out.
In the what is it? The Revenge of the Sith, right? His whole body was burned and stuff like that. George Lucas went in and digitally took out his eyebrows.
Yeah, but come on, no one even noticed. Whoopi Goldberg had no eyebrows in Star Trek: The Next Generation. I mean, eyebrows are just like they're there or they're not.
No, but what I'm saying though is like in the original cut of Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader had eyebrows. The actor had eyebrows, right? And then in the latest Blu-ray edition that just came out like 2-3 years ago, they went in and took the guy's eyebrows out.
All right. Well, in my defense, I've not really gone back and watched the and I'm doing air quotes, remastered versions.
She's really doing air quotes. When she says she's doing air quotes, she's actually got her hands in the air.
They're there. I can see them. I can't. Can't.
We need to get to our picks now.
Okay. My pick is the originals, not the remasters.
Good on you. All right. So, and Jonathan, you just posted something in your link. What's this about?
Oh, I was just going to say, if I'll post this in there for everybody. There's a great story from thisisinsider.com that's got the 21 questions you have after watching the Last Jedi, and some of them are the ones we just talked about. What's in the drawer, and who were some of these characters that were have come and gone and stuff. Can I just okay, I got to throw in like a 30 seconds.
You guys do know what was in the drawer, right?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I got a 30-second spoiler here. I got to go into it for 30 seconds because I got to give a shout out to someone. Yeah. 30 seconds spoiler counting now. I cannot believe how dirty they did Admiral Akbar. They actually brought back the guy who played him in the 1980s to blow him into smithereens.
Yeah, I know.
That's awful.
That's low.
Like, it's a trap. Oh, no, he's gone. He's just gone. There was no trap. They didn't even get to say his famous line. They just blew him out of the water.
Oh, really? It's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. You're right. I did notice that it was the same actor, but when I went back and looked at the credits, right?
As he's floating through space, suffocating, he says, "This is crap. This is crap."
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Good point. Another pointless change.
And that is my 30-second rant on this. I got a bunch more.
And yet, D3PO survived.
Yeah. Well,
unscathed.
They're going to keep around characters that are those touchstones. It's easy to recast Chewbacca. It's easy to cast R2-D2 now that they don't need Kenny Baker to be inside the poor guy. They can recast Anthony Daniels by putting somebody else in that robot suit. Those characters, there's really no reason to get rid of them. It's the actors. It's Mark. It's Carrie. It's Harrison Ford. Those are the ones that are, they're the ones that are easier to get rid of over the course of these films because it's hard to continue them on. The same reason why Brent Spiner doesn't play Data anymore. It just time takes its toll.
So
Jonathan,
speaking of which, go ahead, Tammy.
I have to teach you how to do a proper rant. If you're calling that a rant, oh my goodness, boy, we need to talk. Son, I have got to show you a thing or two.
Yeah. So before you do that, though, the guy who plays Willow and Wicket, what's his name?
Warwick Davis.
The best thing is following Warwick Davis on Twitter because he actually did like a Periscope or a Facebook Live thing with his phone of him walking through the red carpet at the premiere, and all he sees is people's belly buttons and stuff, right? He's like, oh, look, there's a famous person over there. Maybe I'll take a selfie with them and stuff like that, right? So it's hilarious. So if you get a chance to go back and watch, check out his Twitter feed. He's got a link there about that. That was the best part about the red carpet. Yeah. All right, so let's get into our picks. Who wants to go first?
Wait.
Not you. You don't have a pick. Do you have a pick?
I don't even know what we're doing.
Well, this is sort of.
I know, but what do we pick on this show? I'm new.
Oh, well, it's sort of things we want to see, trailers that are coming out, movies that are coming out, whatever we want to see, right? So I'm going to skip past this one because Jonathan's also picked it, but I'm going to talk about The Darkest Hour, which is a trailer that I saw where Gary Oldman plays, and it's a role that's been played over and over again. There's been some really good movies about Winston Churchill in the last little while. What's his name? Third Rock from the Sun guy.
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow just did an amazing version of Winston Churchill when he was sick. Apparently he was secretly sick and they tried to hide it from Parliament, and it was a big deal about that. John Lithgow played that. But Gary Oldman you wouldn't recognize Gary Oldman in this movie as Winston Churchill. And it's a movie called The Darkest Hour. It's not a sci-fi, whatever. It's basically about World War II movie. But we've talked about Dunkirk on the show before, so I figured fair warning that we could use, or fair usage that we could talk about Darkest Hour. That's an interesting movie. I think I'm going to look forward to seeing that one. And of course, I think yesterday, Ocean's 8 dropped. And I think finally it's an Ocean's 11 type movie that Jonathan can go see because George Clooney's not in it.
Yay! and some of the most beautiful and talented women in Hollywood are, so hooray for that.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I guess it's in the genre of Ghostbusters. It's basically the ladies taking over the show. It definitely looks like an interesting movie. I love heist movies. Heist movies are great, so good to see that.
So do I get to make a pick?
You can.
Sure.
Just let the other guys, let the boys go first. Well, sorry, I don't mean to say it the way it sounded, but
okay, boys, go ahead. I'll just wait over here with my pick. I'll wait till I'm spoken to. It's okay.
Well, welcome to the last episode of Spotcast, everybody. Great. Thanks for coming.
It's been fun.
We're boycotting our own show. All right, so Jonathan, why don't you go next?
So my pick is a pretty obvious one, but it had to be put out there. So Christmas Day, we're going to get the Doctor Who Christmas special. I know that's also one Tim's looking forward to, and Tammy too, is that we're going to finally get have to say goodbye to Capaldi and say hello to Jodie Whittaker, our first female Doctor, which I'm very excited for. And we can debate Doctor Who another time, but I was not a huge Capaldi fan, so I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. He had his moments, but I found that
I don't buy the Sonic sunglasses.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that I could pick at on the Capaldi run, and
the best thing about Capaldi was, I've forgotten her name now.
The new one,
The Crown. No,
not
Billy. Oh, Billy was good too. Yeah. Well, Tammy didn't like Billy.
Yeah.
You guys are killing me. Oh my gosh. I just put in the chat that how do you not go on 1,000 tangents? I'm sitting here biting my tongue because there are 1,000 things I want to talk about, but I'm just going to be quiet.
Well, we got 6 more minutes, or we got 5 more minutes now.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm just
okay. You get to have the. Well, what do you think? So anyway, I posted a sneak peek of the episode with a little bit longer peek for people who can't wait till Monday afternoon, should say, Monday evening, I guess, Christmas Day.
Wait, is it really?
Christmas Day is Monday. Have you not done all your packing and your turkey cooking and all that kind of stuff yet, Tammy?
Dude, I am unburying myself from work. I haven't done anything.
Well, you better get pitter patter. Time's a wasting. Right? Time's a wasting. All right. So we both picked Twice Upon a Time, which is the Christmas special coming out. So, Jaime, do you want to go?
Yeah, mine is a YouTube video called How Star Wars, the original Star Wars we're talking about, A New Hope, was saved in the edit. And it talks about the original rough cut of the film, and it was shown to Steven Spielberg, and I forget who the other dude is, but both of those directors said, this is a mess. This needs to cheat. And Lucas turned to his editors, including most famously his ex-wife, then his wife at that point.
Academy Award winner.
Yeah, they removed some stuff out of the film. They reordered some sequences to make what we know today as A New Hope. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same kind of thing that you could do arguably to The Last Jedi, and I think it would be a much better film, and I think it would be a film that more people would enjoy.
Yeah, it's interesting point. I've always maintained that I like the original cut of A New Hope. In fact, I have it on DVD, and I'll pull it out and watch it from time to time. What's his wife's name, Jonathan?
His first wife?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Let's put it this way. She won an Academy Award for the editing of that movie, and George Lucas Lucas has been messing with it ever since.
Right. So this gets beyond more than just like, the kind of edits, like, screen wipes and everything. This gets to like actually, as they talk about in this video, the movie is written 3 times, right? It's the screenplay, filming, and then the editing that ultimately can radically change the movie. We've seen this
podcast.
We've seen this go awry in other movies, like Suicide Squad is a real good example where they chopped up the movie and redid stuff. Rogue One also suffers from this as well, where it was shot and then reshot and re-edited as the studios tried tinkering with it. This is a much more happier one where I guarantee you would not have liked the rough cut of Star Wars. Tim, if you watch this video, you'll be like, oh yeah, I can see why they made those changes.
Marsha Griffin, by the way. Marsha Griffin.
Yeah.
Marsha.
All right, check. By the way, did you know that, what's the name of the main character in, I can't remember these names. The main character in Rogue One, the young lady?
Not Aaron.
Wow, we are excelling.
Herlin, oh my God.
Jyn Erso.
Jyn Erso. Tammy, did you know that Disney killed off Jyn Erso's mom in the beginning of that movie?
I'm not surprised. If they call you by mom, you're gonna die.
You're done for.
You either already don't exist or you're gonna die.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother show topic in the future. But like looking back at that movie, it's the mom who causes a lot of the problem. Actually, like if she hadn't done what she does, spoilers for Rogue One, the whole movie turns out way differently.
That's true.
Dude, it's always the mother's fault. Disney or not, it is always the mom's fault.
All right, so Tammy, you got 5 minutes, or you got 7 minutes actually. Go ahead.
I will try and do it in half of 30 seconds.
All right.
Which is 15. Yay for me, Matt. I second Doctor Who Christmas special. I am super excited about it and totally way out of what y'all have been talking about. My pick is Insidious, The Last Key. I haven't seen any of the Insidious. Is that how you say it?
I have no idea. Insidii? I'm not sure how you pluralize it.
I just recently watched that trailer and oh my gosh, I am hooked. January 5th. I might even get off my butt, go outside, go to theaters, and see it.
That's impressive.
Right? You know.
So somebody tell me what Insidious is about. What is it?
Paranormal, horror, stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
But that's all I know. I've got nothing else.
I've never seen the movies, but from the marketing of it, it really seemed like some sort of haunted house, or like a kid is possessed or something. I got the impression it was one of those kind of movies.
Well, here's the thing. Let's backtrack. When I was little, I didn't like horror. Then I had this thing where I was all about the horror. Then I had kids and I was like, oh, I don't know. It's kind of like carnival rides. I don't like it. But now my kids are older and I am all about the horror movies. And this one, it is freaky.
Wow.
I'm watching the thing. It's not even the trailers. If you go to insidiousmovie.com, the background, it's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Cool.
Maybe I won't go watch it. I don't know. I'm scared.
You're scared. Come on. The Linda Hamilton of Spockcast is scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty then. So I guess that's going to wrap it up for another episode here of Spockcast. So Jaime, if people want to find you on interwebs, where would they look?
I'm on Twitter as @DevOfTheHair.
All right. And Jonathan, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter as @JPKNews.
And Tammy, how can people find you on the interwebs, as if we don't already know?
I'm at Twitter @Paradox927. And thank you all for letting me crash your show.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for coming. And as I say at the top of the show all the time, my name is Timitra, TIMMITRA on the Twitter machine, and that's the best way to get a hold of me. All right. And we'll say bye. See you in the future.
Goodbye.
Pump it away.
Happy holidays.
If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spockcast website at spockcast.com. You can get in touch with us on the website or follow us on Twitter at Spockcast. If you have feedback or questions, send us a tweet with the hashtag AskSpockcast. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/Spockcast. You can find details on how to help us out on our website at spockcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
What does Spider-Man say? Superman says up and away. What does Spider-Man say?
Let's get the web out of here.
Or Batman? Does Batman have a catchphrase?
Where's the trigger?
No, that's what he says now.
No, isn't his catchphrase?
I'm rich. I'm rich. That's my superpower.
I'm Batman.
Do you bleed?
Do you bleed? Yeah, that's the one.
Do you bleed?
Best pickup line ever.
You all realize I'm going to have to refrain from breaking in on your podcast now, right?
Well, how's that? Yeah, I guess so. Well,
I had so much fun.
It's a great show. We like it.
Yeah.
And
we have a hard time keeping it down to so we can do MTJC. We have always send Mark a note saying, we're going to start late.
Yeah.
No, you don't have any idea how much I'm sitting on my tongue right now not to say things.
Oh, well, you come back again and do it and let loose.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
I want to be a regular. Can I be a regular?
Yeah, if you can stay awake long enough. Yeah.
I'm telling you, my napping hour is between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. That's when I nap, and then I'm up for the rest of. You need to just.
So, Jonathan, the reason I say that is because we've invited Tammy to MTJC a few times, and she's fallen asleep while doing the show. She's fallen asleep on the show.
It's my nap time. I mean, this is when I nap.
I don't know if that's a criticism of the show or.
Maybe.
Come on, in my defense, I'm up all the time. I get about maybe 2.5 hours of sleep a night.
24-hour podcast.
And it happens to be right during this time.
It's people will say, "Why don't you let Tammy talk more?" It's
she's
people say
probably sleeping.
Despite Tim's statement earlier in this very podcast, she wanted to say more. She just may or may not be conscious.
That one time, oh my goodness, you guys were blah 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 blah. And it wasn't because of what you were saying. It's just my nap time.
Yep. The whiskey kicked in.
No, I wasn't even drinking. I was just tired.
All right. Jonathan was on Friday night. Let's call Jaime up right now and do his podcast.
Yeah, I said we got to do an impromptu one. Let's go.
Emergency podcast.
Well, I've taken the liberty. I was sitting there this afternoon, and I
saw that.
I started making a list of all the genre movies that are coming out next year. So I thought we could probably have some pretty good fun with. There are 30, and I'm not exaggerating. There are 30 genre pictures coming out between January and December of next year.
Wow.
So I thought we could do a little. I would pay to see that. I'll watch it on. I'll buy the Blu-ray or I'll watch it on Netflix review of this list. So I put it into the main for the next episode. So if you guys want to have a look, but I think we could probably make a pretty good conversation out of all these things that are coming next year. It's staggering. There's so much genre stuff coming out, and a lot of it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm all kidding aside. I'd love to be a regular. I had a blast.
Cool. All right. Well, now you know what kind of directions we go in. We go all over the place, right? So, and it's funny though because Jonathan's really bad at giving us lots of things to talk about. Because I look at this stuff and go, "Are we going to do this in an hour?"
How did I do, Jaime? Did I actually? I was trying to power through.
It was pretty good. Yeah, so Tammy, you were talking about it's different. This is quite the opposite of MTJC, where that one's very we have our set stuff that we're going to do, and then we have the after show that goes however long. And then Tim,
this one, if it's shiny, we talk about it.
Yeah, this one
you
don't get that. You don't get that because you don't watch Firefly, so you don't know what I just said.
You need that woman's touch, that gentle tap,
potpourri here or there.
Yeah.
This doesn't even have the structure of Roundabout, where you got the free for all.
You did not just use the word structure and roundabout in the same sentence, did you?
It follows the same pattern. It's okay, tell me who you are. Let's do a little bit of around the horn.
That's about the only structure we have. Tell us who you are and what you do, and then hey, we got these 13 questions. I said to Tim, I'm like, who's this Jonathan guy? Why'd you ask him and not me? He's related. Oh, shit.
Yeah. He has opinions. Yep.
Yeah. To be fair, I used to do some of this stuff for a living.
Yeah. Go check out his website.
Yep.
All right.
Wait, what?
The sugar that makes the nepotism go down a little easier.
ATKcomics.com.
No, you can't just say it.
I'll put it in the Trello notes.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. We got to go because we got to take a 10-minute break before we get back into the next show. So, Tammy.
Timey.
No. See, Tammy and Jaime, to go together, become Hammy. So, Hammy.
I mean, you and I need one of those J. Brad Pitt.
Yeah, it was Hammy.
Whatever they're
J-Lo or
called.
Bennifer.
I mean.
Jonathan, nice meeting you, even though Mr. Tim did not formally introduce us.
Jonathan, Tammy, Jonathan. I kind of figured you guys might have heard each other on various podcasts here.
No, he don't listen to me. I don't listen to him.
How do you know? Oh, you don't listen to our show. That's true. I forgot.
Oh, so bad.
Sounds good. Tim and Tammy, see you all in like 15.
Sure.
And Jonathan, see you in the new year. Have a good and happy holidays.
Same to you, buddy.
All right, bye, guys.
All right.
Happy holidays. Bye.
Tonight in Arkansas, there's a mother tucking in her daughter and turning off the light. A business owner is burning the midnight oil. An at-home dinner date is plating up possibility. And it's all happening under one roof. How? The power of a conversation, like the one John from Integrity Solutions had with First Horizon Bank about his vision for a sustainable mixed-use building. Now it's not just words, it's life. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/John. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.